Southern white people.
Yeah, well, them's my people, so I'm gonna talk like that because I want to make sure that we're connecting with all the different types of people in the world because everybody needs to be better at Dota, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I do. A lot of Southern boomers watch Dota Alchemy Answers.
There definitely ain't nobody who ain't got room to improve when it comes to the Dota, so, anyone out there who sounds like this when you talk, I'm pretty sure that you could probably improve if you listen to some doodly alchemy, and if you haven't,
you, you sound like Boomhauer if he had like a concussion, like started talking slower.
and if and you haven't subscribed, if and you haven't smashed that there like button right below your video, please do so because it certainly helps us do improve the channel and support us in our endeavors to better the Dota community. Much appreciated there, partner.
We just lost all of our Southern viewers. Ah, sorry guys. Sorry guys. Donnie's feeling extra racist today.
What? Just embracing my Southern heritage.
No, that's fine.
I'm
You know,
from
why isn't there a day for that?
what?
Why isn't there a day for that for
Southern
Southerners,
Heritage Day?
Southern Americans? Yeah. Well, not like South Americans, but like Southern USA Americans that are in the States.
I'm sure there probably is. It's called
They need
like,
to make a day for everybody that's not birthday. Like every subgroup of people.
isn't that just like participation trophies? Like,
No.
what makes you special?
Well, I already have a day. I'm Irish, so I got the St. Patrick's Day. Everybody drinks, which is kind of racist.
I'm pretty sure that they have made a day for just about everybody at this point.
What about English? The English don't get a day. Everybody celebrates not dealing with the English anymore. Well, you have the 4th of July in America, right?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that when America said fuck England? We have Canada Day in Canada where we were separated.
Yeah, well, maybe if English people weren't such asshats and tried to conquer the world, then they wouldn't have
Oh, come
everybody
on.
telling them to fuck off.
Every peoples were asshats, man. We're all assholes. You know, that's just human. Humans are assholes. We all want to fight and fuck and go to war and make nukes. We're a bubble. Humanity's a bubble.
Or a bubble, and we're about to pop and become
Yeah.
androids, and then the androids overlords will take over, and anyone who just wants to be a regular old human being is going to be farmed for their milk or something like that, probably.
Well, that's great that I lactate then, because
Yeah,
a lot of people are gonna have an issue. Some issues.
I agree.
Do you ever think that the whole universe is just a bubble because of entropy? And
Uh,
like that's the reason why esports is a bubble and the housing market's a bubble. Like
it,
eventually it will all pop if the whole universe is going to pop, right?
so
So you can't be wrong if you call esports a bubble. Like
you're
I'm
just,
right about that.
you're just saying it's everything is just a macrocosm of the greater entropic nature of the universe.
Yes, precisely.
I see. Cool.
My microcosm is
Microgasm.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Micro orgasm. That's like when you're walking around and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you have
Indeed.
some issues in the pants.
Indeed.
You want to start the questions?
Yeah, I got a question for you.
Okay.
How are you?
Ah, that's good diet Pepsi. I'm good. I'm good. I just lost 2 games, so you know how it goes. That's a little depressing, but
Right. Doubting all of the choices that you made that have led you up to this point in your life.
right,
Yep.
right. But you know, aside from that, logically, I can't complain.
Unsure of whether you want to continue Dota Alchemy or just, like become a hermit in the woods, or potentially just like get some manual labor job that involves no computers and especially no Dota players ever again.
Well, I know that's your thing, but I'm more so like move to like Brazil and go to the Amazon and just live off the land or something like that. I'm not. I can understand the manual labor thing, but I'm more like yeah I'm going to like the Saharas or something and just living in a hut eating scorpions and shit.
There you go.
Yeah,
Got to get that arachnid protein, man. Are
that's the
scorpions
best
arachnid?
protein.
They are arachnids, right?
Uh,
Scorpion
not sure.
genus.
Speaking of protein,
They are class arachnid. Arachnida. Kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda, class Arachnida.
you're right.
You know?
Do you want to do an arachnid um yeah an arachnid podcast,
Uh,
but only like scorpoid arachnids?
so Sand King and Broodmother only? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Wait, no. Just Sand King
Just Sand King.
and maybe Nyx. We'd have to check on that one.
I think he only has 6 legs.
Oh,
I don't know what that means. I don't think you can be an arachnid with only 6 legs, but I'm not entirely sure.
I feel like he's a beetle too. I don't think beetles are arachnids.
Yeah, probably not. You know what? We should probably look at what beetles are. Beetle genus. Let's see. Kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda. So they are in the same phylum. Class
That's
Insecta.
interesting. Hmm.
Insecta. So they are
Oh, so they're
insects.
insects.
Yeah,
Okay. But spiders and scorpions are not.
correct. That is correct.
How many hours should I plat Dota a day to get pro? I am Herald now. I mean, I don't think it's really about the hour. I mean, that depends on what you want. How quickly do you want to go pro? If you want to go pro in 20 years, then you don't have to play that much.
True that. That's my plan.
There you go. Yeah, you're gonna be like what, 50
Yeah.
by the time.
I'll hit immortal by the time I'm immortal, is what it's going to be, you know?
Nice.
Everything in its place.
Yeah, the cool thing about what's happening with your MMR right now, Donnie, is that everybody in the audience is slowly uh gonna get higher than you because all they need to do is not play the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is though, I was realizing that I would prefer to actually be a legend at the moment. I don't want to be ancient because that has negative connotations. I certainly don't want to be divine because that would imply that I'm dead. And being immortal means that I'm just old. I'm forever old. So I'd rather just be a legend, and then people will be like, "Bro, you're a legend," and that makes me feel good, you know?
Yeah, but if you're immortal or divine, it kind of implies that you have some form of life where you can perceive the legends being told about you. So you could enjoy
Mm,
and rejoice in the stories being told about you and about your life. But
I
if you're a
see.
legend, you're just gone. Because why would they tell legends about? And a lot of legends aren't even true. Like
True.
The Lake Ness monster. I saw that thing the other day. It's not even that big. So the legends were telling me bullshit about that little bastard.
Indeed.
It's just basically a snake, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm just saying that it's a choice that I'm going towards lower MMRs and greater things in terms of the name of my medal. It's
But
it's a
lem-
choice.
if you're a herald, you get to be the one that's telling the stories.
Right, I'm
So
the herald of all things.
you could make shit up and make yourself look like you were the main character of all of the stories. I think we're onto something here.
I agree. I really think that you and I should start a duo queue. We should both just create a Smurf, and we should Smurf from Herald to Immortal together, and just make it into a YouTube series.
You mean immortal to herald?
No, one of us would be Herald and the other one would be Immortal. And by the end, we would both be Herald.
I don't know, man. That sounds hard. That sounds hard. I have to lose a lot to be Herald. Just like
I wonder if it's even possible.
only.
Is it possible to de-rank from Immortal to Herald without having your account banned by excessive reports? Because you'd have to be.
That's a good question. I feel like there is actually a lower limit, to some degree, like a reasonable lower limit.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like you have a 99.99% chance that at that point you'll probably be banned, or like it's so the percentage chance is so high you could just kind of call it a lower limit.
Yeah.
Sebastian asked, "Any tips to not get bored while watching replays?" That's a really good question, actually, because it can be pretty boring watching replays. I would say like there's a few things. Playing less Dota will make you enjoy the replays more. If they're like major minor replays, it's cool because you know that the people are really really good that you're watching, and that there's possibly millions of dollars on the line. It can be exciting for that reason. And then also just watch heroes that like you're excited about playing. I'm a huge proponent of like playing to your personality and playing to your psychology these days. Like if you don't want to play something, if you don't want to watch a replay, you're gonna scientifically this is true. You're not gonna learn anywhere near as much. You're not gonna be anywhere near as good at the game.
Yeah.
That is a fact. There are numerous studies that I can cite that prove this.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that part of my big downswing in MMR is due to the fact that I was starting to just get into this mindset of like, well, I need to start climbing again, so I'm gonna pick just strictly meta heroes, and I'd play them like twice and maybe win twice. Then I'd pick it one more time and be like, this is boring. And
Yeah,
I just restructured my list, my hero grid to just the heroes that I consider myself good enough to play at my level and that I enjoy playing. And like, I took out several meta heroes. That's the thing about our like tier lists is I want everybody to kind of understand that the tier list is basically just like a suggestion of these heroes are good. And if you happen to have a hero that you like playing that overlaps with the tier list, then you're doing
that's good.
great.
Yeah, that's perfect.
But you don't have to pick up the 3 heroes that we put in a tier list every time, because chances are, if you're always trying to switch your hero pool to fit the tier list that we're putting out on our channel, you're likely just going to lose a bunch of MMR because you're constantly learning new heroes.
Unless you're in like a period where you're excited to actually learn a new hero, because
Yeah.
I do think in Dota, and I mean this is probably true for a lot of things in life. I just the most experience I have is in Dota, there's like it's like cyclical where you have like a learning period and then you have kind of a plateau and then a learning period and a plateau. And I think when you're in those plateaus, you're essentially just trying to gain as much MMR as you can and getting up to like your right number, given that you've learned a bunch of stuff. You're trying to like hone in and perfect the stuff that you learned and make sure that it's completely instinct. And like basically you can play like Void Spirit to learn it and then play it until you're bored and then learn a new hero. And in the learning periods, you're going to like stagnate in MMR, but in the periods of not picking up any new heroes, that's where you actually gain MMR. And
Yeah.
that's how you rise in MMR, in my opinion, is you learn something that's good, you get good at it, you play it until you don't enjoy it anymore, you learn something that's good, you play it until you don't enjoy it anymore, and then it's your MMR will be like that, where it plateaus and then will rise. And it's just because there's like a learning period and then there's a period of just that's just part of you, and all you need to do is be the best you and you're going to be good. And I like I said, I do think that's probably true for like uh you know programming. Let's say like you hire somebody to be like some game developer and they already have the skill set required to complete a game within a certain time frame. They should just do it. Whatever their process is for doing it, they should just do it if you want to complete it in that time frame. If it's within their capabilities. But if it's not within their capabilities, then you need to give a period where they can learn and hit these plateaus. Because when you're learning, like you don't write any good code. It's just all dog shit and you have to redo it anyway. So but you have to learn. You can't not learn, because how are you going to know to code in the first place, right? It's like, it's this weird conundrum where, like, yes, you should just be the best you possible, but you were also built up to be that you. You know what I mean? It's like, at a certain point, you weren't that same way, so you had to learn that. So it's a, I don't know, it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Am I talking nonsense here? Does this sound reasonable?
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of just spacing out and staring at myself, nodding along to you, and
Okay.
but
I can summarize. I can summarize. I'm basically saying that I believe that being you and just being the best you possible is a good mentality for being productive, but it's not good for learning.
sure.
Like, there's a period where you need to be self-critical and open yourself up and be vulnerable, and then there's a period where you need to be confident and you need to just do what you're good at in the way that you do it, and that's like the whole process, you know.
Yeah, I
But
can see what you're saying.
you're not going to do you're not really going to do anything good while learning. Like, there's like two different, you know, like, spaces that your head can be in.
I'm picking up what you're putting down there, Haas.
Okay.
I am. I'm going to go ahead and tweet out that we are live and we can start the show whenever you want to.
Okay. When is this ESL LA qualifier or tournament? When is this at? Isn't the minor on right now?
No, it starts I think minor starts like first week of March.
Oh, it's March 20th. Oh, okay. I think what I was seeing was the qualifiers. Some of the remaining qualifiers that were going on, I think the Chinese ones were delayed because of coronavirus or whatever.
Yeah. No, the We Play tournament starts tomorrow, actually in like 12 hours. I'm casting one of the first series.
Nice.
Should be fun.
Oh yeah, I might be doing that as well.
Nice. All right. You ready? You ready to do this? You ready to do this right now?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's
do it. I'm ready.
Let me just crack my neck. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome! Sorry, that's not going to do very well on the podcast. Let me restart. Take it down a notch. Make some tea.
Well, you can normalize the audio levels. You're good.
Welcome to Alchemy Answers episode 67, where we can talk about all sorts of fun things that our audience and our patrons have asked us about. In this episode, we'll probably be covering stuff like how to compare heroes, how to maintain a game-winning attitude, and so many other amazing MMR winning questions. If you out there in the listening sphere want to ask us questions directly every single week, just check out patreon.com/Dota Alchemy. The best community of Dota 2 fanatics who want to learn, encourage each other, be positive, and absolutely destroy the MMR system.
Dude, this is what happens when you win 3 games in a row. It's like, you're the one that I can't take because I lost 2 and you won 3, and we've just totally switched places. Last week you were like sick and like depressed and tired, and oh god, Dota has so much control over our lives. Okay, all right, yeah. Anyway, everybody out there in the listening sphere, we're gonna get into the first question. The first question comes from Party. He says, rewatching one of your streams, I heard about your idea of your series of the road from 6K to 7K. Just hypothetically, if I were to try to make one of these high quality videos once a month from 6 to 7K and send it to you, if you think it's good, would there be a chance of you uploading it on your channel? I'm going to be honest with you here. We've actually had a couple of requests recently to upload other people's stuff on our channel. I'm not a huge fan of that idea. Just like the idea of it for some reason. Like, I feel like you very easily could make your own channel as like a 6 to 7K player. If you're making a high quality video, number one, you could just do it yourself and you'll eventually get viewers. If you're consistent, you'll get views, and if it's quality, if you're consistent, the quality will come. And number two, if you put it on our channel, we'd take a piece of your pie, which like isn't either. It's like not actually high quality potentially, which a lot of the time for somebody's first video, it probably probably wouldn't be. Let's be real. You can look back in our videos and like a lot of them suck. Or it's good, and then we're just eating your pie, and it's like that makes me uncomfortable. In either situation, I feel like there's something not right about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think in an ideal world, I would like Dota Alchemy to be in an umbrella sort of for people, up and coming content creators, educators to
I would
get their
say
start, but I don't think that that's where we are now, and I certainly would prefer to solidify us before starting to promote other people.
I think like collabs and stuff like that. Like if you want to, if you have ideas and you want to go for a replay or we want to do some stuff together, absolutely, I would love to do that. That'd be really sick, definitely. But something about just the idea of somebody else making a piece of content and just posting it on our channel, it almost feels like using. You know what I mean? It's like we're just getting free content because we have the 80,000 subscribers or whatever, which is really weird in this day and age on YouTube because 80,000 subscribers doesn't actually mean 80,000 people watch your video. It's just it it's just a number, It's like your video. It's YouTube's in a really weird place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean with the umbrella thing. But I would like to, even if we were like an umbrella for other people making content, I would like to contribute to some way in with their content. You know what I mean? Like we've had like New Sham on, and we've had like Henry and BSJ and stuff, and it's like if we can do something together, then that's better. Otherwise, it could just be separate.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
Not that there's like a rigorous definition of anything. That's just like my thought process on it and like what a YouTube channel is to me. But like I said, there's a lot of ways of doing it. Good question, though. Interesting question. Snowy says, I thought it was about time to become a Patreon, considering I watch all of your videos. Thank you for the support, Snowy. I especially love Alchemy Answers and have a few questions of my own. I'm going to move this over to this screen because there's a lot of text. I'm usually Shadow Demon and Elder Titan support spammer and Crusader bracket on Australia. I usually have a project hero I am working on too. Hey, we were just talking about that. These are heroes that are usually out of my comfort level and ability level.
I like this approach already.
Yeah, this is very good. We already talked about this. I'm a huge fan of this as well. Currently, I've been playing Visage in the 5 and 4 role, not because I think it's good, but because I think the hero skill set is interesting. I find that he has good trading as a lane support with his Q and E. My question is, how do I play this hero in the mid game and in team fights? I often get overwhelmed in fights and preoccupied with sending my birds over to the back line. Range heroes like Drow to stun them while sitting in trees using my other skills. Any advice would be much appreciated. Well, I can tell you how to play Visage generally, but the kind of optimal way to play Visage does require that you have at least a decent amount of farm, and that's a big reason why people don't really play it as like a position 5. And if they play it as a position 4, it's somebody like Owie playing it, and it's very greedy, and you're building items. Like you basically want to get a medallion, get items that make
Dominator.
you tanky, get aura items, run at towers, 5-man, and in fights you just, like you said, you just send your birds at a hero that is squishy, a hero that you can like zone and solo kill. So Crystal Maidens, Liches, Disruptors, Pudge because he has low armor, Drows, like you said. And I would say you don't want to try to use the birds to really stun most of the time. You're just using the birds to kill. That's the big thing in the fights. And your job is to go in and create chaos and basically have people press spells on you. And because that's the case, you need to have items. Otherwise, I would say you can like play the perimeter of the fights, try to stay around your birds so they get the aura, and then still go for like the back lines. That is almost always the play. And I mean, I suppose usually when it comes to like the bird stuns, it's like if the enemy team is running away or they have some sort of mobility ability, people will use the stuns, or if there's like 3 heroes grouped up, they'll use them. But since the birds don't lose damage anymore, really all you need to do is just keep the birds active until they get like low HP.
Yeah, I've got a even more simple explanation for you. Don't ever take a 5-on-5 with that hero, because you don't have to. You can always have threat on somebody's buildings and make the other team split up, and then it's very easy for your team to win fights. I think that hero is one of the worst team fighters in the game, just by nature of its skills. It has like really nothing other than snowballing abilities, right? Like it's essentially a hero who wants to chase and like blow people up and then just like find the next one and find the next one and find the next one. And so if you're trying to fight as if you were like a lich or you know, one of these heroes that wants to be in the middle of these fights and casting several rounds of spells, that's not Visage. Visage is a hero that just kind of wants to create pressure elsewhere on the map, and then if somebody shows up, you kill them if they don't bring enough people, and if they do bring a whole bunch of people, then you just kind of slam your birds on the ground and run away and try again somewhere else.
I think Visage is one of the most garbage heroes in Dota right now. Maybe I just haven't seen it. But if I had to rank like the bottom heroes in Dota, I would be like Pudge, Visage. I can't even think of like any other really garbage heroes.
Let's look at Dota buff real quick.
Some heroes have like an okay niche. Pudge and Visage are definitely very bad.
All right, current win rate.
Medusa was really bad, but they've been buffing the shit out of her. So
Leshrac actually has the lowest win rate currently in all games. This is all levels, not just high levels.
Wow, that's surprising. Luna, yeah, I think Luna's pretty bad. The thing with Luna though is that I still believe that there's a magic damage build on Luna that's good. But when when I'm saying that the best build on a hero is some really niche weird build, that probably means that it's pretty like the current way of playing it is pretty bad. Like the hero overall is probably pretty bad.
Wow.
But I do think that like 4 Lunas, not that bad.
You want to know what the lowest win rate hero in Divine and Immortal pubs is right now? And this is a hero that
wait.
Wasn't really changed that much in the patch.
Let me guess. Okay, let's see. Lowest win rate. So it's not the lowest. It's not the most win rate decrease, right? It's the absolute lowest win rate. The
absolute lowest. Period.
Okay. Let's see.
And here's a little hint for you. It's the lowest win rate across all brackets currently. From what
Did you say that was Leshrac?
That was all games. This is. Let me see where Leshrac is here. But I'm looking at all these other win rates. I'm not seeing. Let's see. Oh wait, never mind. Okay, so Leshrac is actually 48% in Divine and Immortal pubs and 39% in like Herald, Archon, Guardian, that kind of stuff. So Crusader.
Jesus.
So they're really bringing down the average there. But the lowest consistent hero and
Ancient Apparition?
Certainly the lowest in Divine and Immortal. No. Very popular hero that professional players play nearly every tournament.
Nearly every tournament.
Gyrocopter.
Oh, okay. Huh. That's weird.
Yeah, I can't remember a single really huge nerf on this hero either. But
he is pretty bad. He is definitely pretty bad. It's the thing with Dota right now is that I feel like there are a lot of good viable heroes that you can call bad or good for one reason or another. Like you bring up Luna, and I do agree that the general Luna like Mask of Madness, like right click build is garbage, but I can't call the hero garbage tier because I believe that a magic damage Luna build there's some magic damage Luna build out there, variation on it that's like really good at each timing. Like I think that's good. I think that like Lion and Ogre are garbage noob heroes that people who want to have 0 impact to win the game anyway will play. But I still think Ogre if you have like PPD playing ogre or something, he's gonna utilize it. If you have Pylai playing lion, like it's gonna look really good. Or if it's against like a morphling, it's always gonna be a pretty good hero.
Right.
However, I do have to say, I would almost never want a Pudge in my game. Like that hero is just for fun at this point.
Yeah.
That hero is a purely fun hero. Pudge is garbage. And then that other hero that we were talking about, which I forget, Visage. I think Visage is pretty bad. It's like Visage is like the worst last pick hero.
Sure.
Invoker's decent. Invoker's decent. It's just that people play Invoker that think they can play Invoker and they can't, and they feed, and then they're like, my team was shit.
Right.
Jenkins, are you a ladies' man? Yeah. I hung out with basically exclusively girls in high school. I'm a very feminine man.
He didn't say, "Are you a lady, man?" But that's how you answered it.
Oh, I see. Am I a ladies' man? No.
Okay.
No.
Just wanted to clarify.
Campsite A, don't play Dazzle. Dazzle doesn't stun or do anything. Yeah, I actually think Dazzle's pretty garbage too. But not as garbage as Pudge. All right, let's continue. Okay, so IMO, IMM-O, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. Howdy, y'all. I became a supporter yesterday and feel great. Thanks for putting out fantastic content. I think he's talking to you, Donnie. The best thing that I've done for my Dota game was find alchemy answers. Huh, that's interesting. That's two people who have, I think, said similar. That's interesting because so many less people watch it, but I guess we do go into like a very good detail about attitude and things like that. Oh, I didn't realize how much my shitty attitude was keeping me from enjoying this game. I'm not good at Dota, but I'm having so much fun right now that I can relax. And I have a few skills, thanks to you. Well, thank you. That make me feel like I have a clue. I'm not married to MMR and just work to have fun. That said, I want to stir it up and pick crazy heroes that no one will see coming as a position 5. And so my first question as a patron, what are heroes that should never be picked as a position 5 and why?
So are you asking us to basically condone griefing your teammates? Because that's what it sounds like.
Okay, I'm gonna give you ones that are, because what I want to name to you initially is like Anti-Mage, Spectre.
Right.
These are griefing.
Yes.
But if you pick Sniper position 5, nobody will expect that, and that is actually not griefing.
Yes.
Because you can get an Ags, you get this stun on the ultimate, which is really annoying. You get the lowered cooldown with the cooldown reduction talent, and also the cooldown reduction I think that comes from the Aghanim Scepter. Like Sniper support is actually very legit, and nobody's going to expect it.
And you can kind of dominate people in the lane, which is a huge piece of playing 5 or 4.
Yeah, it's not bad.
If you can trade well in the laning stage, chances are you can make it work.
Yep, it's really not that bad.
Hence,
and then
Viper 5, you know?
Right, Viper 5, that's another one that I think people probably won't expect in most brackets. Luna is pretty good once you get levels. The thing with that hero, though, is she's really garbage in the early level. She's basically just an aura. Once you're like level 4, your stun and nuke is a little bit better, and then your aura is quite good. So yeah, Luna is decent. If you go the magic damage build, it's fantastic in the late game. So, and nobody's going to expect that, for God's sakes. I think that's probably enough.
You could try Sven 5.
Yeah. Sven, yeah.
You could Ursa 5 potentially.
Ursa 5 doesn't sound that bad. Yeah.
Chaos Knight 5, Zeus 5. These are all things that can work and have worked in the past.
Yep. Just whatever you feel like, whatever you enjoy playing out of those weird heroes. Like I said, you could Anti-Mage, you could Spectre, but those heroes don't actually have anything that make them a subtly good 5. They're just garbage at 5.
Yeah.
You would lose a lot. It wouldn't be fun for you. But those other ones that we named would be quite good, actually.
Yep.
Especially, you would just need to learn how to play them. See, Tinker 5, that's like that. In my opinion, that's griefing as well, just because yeah. Tinker consumes so much space off the map. If that wasn't true, if there was some build that you could do, if you can have an impact without stealing so much net worth, I would say Tinker 5 is probably pretty good just because you can rearm. So that's
Yeah.
got some pretty obvious utility for supporting, but he needs so much. He needs so much. I've considered that one as well. I've tried that, and then you just realize like, oh, if I play 5 Tinker, I'm really going to be taking space from my other heroes, and somebody else is going to end up having to play 5.
Right.
Not by choice. You know, it's like uh, they're just going to be forced to because they won't have any farm on the map, so they'll have to stand there and get nothing.
Yep. Agreed.
Thanks for the question. Stained Chips says that always makes me so uncomfortable. Just that
That name.
username. Yeah. I had a friend. Well, I mean, he's still around, but I have a friend who used the name for a while. Sausage dipped in milk, and it's like there's nothing that's like overtly vulgar about that, but it just sounds vulgar. Those are the best names. So he said, Stain Chips said, I theory crafted a Phantom Lancer build a couple of weeks ago while overseas and having some Dota withdrawals. I intended it for, what are you doing overseas, out of curiosity? I intended it for games where I need to come online quickly, and the enemy team has a lot of squishy inch heroes and magic damage. The build is Magic Stick into Wraith Bands, into Treads, into Crystallis. I think Crystallis is a broken item. Into Diffusal, into Hood. I would say if you're going late Hood, you may as well just build a BKB. Like you really need to go Hood first if you're going to get that item.
Yep. Hood is like a 12-minute and under item to use for that sort of utility. Otherwise, you just go BKB.
Into Morbid Mask after Crystallis Diffusal. My thinking behind the building the Crystallis before Diffusal doesn't slow down my Diffusal timing due to the added damage, gives great damage for team fights, and can be built into Bloodthorn to deal with the pesky inch heroes later in the game. Pipe and Morbid Mask would be tankiness and sustain in team fights before I build into Satanic. I tried this build for the first time today, got all the items at 19 minutes, and felt like my hero had insane damage while still feeling tanky. Ended up winning the game 10 minutes later. Do you think it could be a legit item builder that I just got lucky in this game? Okay, so I actually think the individual items that you're building are good. You're just building them in the wrong order. I think that if you're going to go Hood, you need to go for a Hood definitely before the Diffusal. Like Crystallis Hood doesn't sound that bad just because I think Crystallis is like a ridiculous item right now.
Yeah.
The only problem with Crystallis is that your illusions don't get the plus damage. So you know that doesn't really help with the illusions, but Crystallis is just like a broken item right now.
Yeah, it's a farming item, like almost at this point.
Crystallis is?
Yeah, just because it gives you so much damage. It's like so cheap that it gives you such a big damage boost. It's like a farming / fighting item, I would say.
Crystallis is broken.
Yeah.
So I actually do like this build. I would say like Crystallis into Diffusal sounds good, but I think if you're gonna go Hood after that, you may as well just be building into like Heart, Scotty, BKB, that sort of thing. Because if you save for a Hood, you know, it's like 2 minutes, 3 minutes later, you could just have a full BKB. You could just have a Heart at that point. Morbid Mask is, yeah, obviously that's fine, but no, I think you had success with this because you basically just discovered that Crystallis is a broken item, and that's what pros think as well.
Yeah.
So it's fine. And my only problem is like the Hood timing. Hood is an item you get like early in the game for fights. Because if you're going like Treads Diffusal, you're choosing not to fight anyway, and then at that you're just taking like small skirmishes. And then at that point, you don't need the Hood, and then you're just farming and taking small skirmishes until you get a BKB or Heart or something like that. Hood is like when you know you're gonna have to fight, but you don't want to die to magic damage.
Yep.
I'm actually gonna make a video about this at some point, but it's this idea that like one decision in Dota can win you the entire game, and the Hood on PL or like a Hood on Slark is one of those like high level decisions that I think a lot of pro players will make that wins them the game because I identify that like if I have a Hood this game, there's literally no way that I'll die.
Yep.
So they go Hood first. Like that's why they go Hood. And if that's not the case, if it doesn't prevent you from completely, you know, never dying, then people will just say, okay, well, I'm going to get more items then. I'm not going to go for this like abnormal item build that kind of sucks because it doesn't even do the thing that I want it to do. It's just like if that will keep you alive and make sure you're never going to die.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that it's really just kind of the idea of abusing a power spike where it's like we're seeing it with like this Medusa Rapier build. You get Rapier and you get Aegis at like 20 minutes, and then it's just too hard to kill the Medusa because there's too much damage coming out, and like she's not scared of playing aggressively because she has the Aegis, and then the game's just over.
It's fucking stupid. It's such a stupid build. Okay, so now we get to the namesake question of the video. Fuzzy says, how to assess and compare heroes that have similar niches in the same role. I can sit down and try to think about every difference they have and come up with a theory on their niche and relative power level. However, the amount of variables is insane. Example, Clockwork 4 versus Spirit Breaker 4. They have a similar niche. They're both disruptive. They're CC heroes who go in and they create chaos. Spirit Breaker is slower and tankier in the early game and has higher base damage. Charge provides a unique way of getting on top of people during the early game ganks. Later on, Spirit Breaker's big thing is probably the insane status resistance, good mobility, yada yada. Basically, he says that his gut feeling is that Clock is better positioned in the current meta, but that is as far as he goes. Is there any better approach to hero comparison? Testing only gets you so far. I mean, that's a good question. That's a really good question. So initial thoughts. I know that a lot of pros tend to draft based on counters that they know, things that they know are like counters to heroes. So for example, with a certain draft, you might want a tanky, disruptive, stunning team fighter guy. But if I am in a game where there's a life stealer and the life stealer is the enemy team's win condition, and I can pick either Clockwork or Spirit Breaker, I'm going to pick Spirit Breaker because Spirit Breaker is a life stealer counter due to the fact that you have all of this BKB piercing disable for him and status resist so he can't slow you. Clockwork is not particularly good versus life stealer because you can never hook into battery assaults him. He just presses his rage. He can just hit the cogs and run out with his insane attack speed. You know, it's not exactly the best example of like a counter because I think Clock's okay against Lifestealer. It's not the worst thing, but I think you would much prefer a Spirit Breaker. Or let's say the enemy team has a Nature's Prophet and you really think that this guy's a good Nature's Prophet. You look at his win rates, like 70%, something like that, or their entire draft relies on this Nature's Prophet doing well. Yes, you could go for a Clockwork, but also Spirit Breaker counters the Nature's Prophet a lot harder. So it depends on what you deem as important in the draft, and then those little differences that you're talking about become more and more important depending on what the enemy team finds important or what your team finds important. For example, if you have a Darkseer, then obviously Spirit Breaker is going to be a lot better because that's a combo. You surge the Spirit Breaker, he gets the move speed, and yes, they do the same thing. And yes, if you are a better Clockwork than a Spirit Breaker, you'd probably pick Clock even in games where Spirit Breaker is better. But assuming you're just as good at both of those heroes, then you would pick Spirit Breaker if we're talking exclusively draft. But I would say a lot of it's just player preference. Like whatever hero you feel comfortable with in a certain niche, just keep picking that one unless you really feel like playing and learning something else. It's totally fine to just have Clockwork be the one disruptive hero that you're good at, and then other position 4s that you play maybe are more like damage dealing, like they're Enchantress, or maybe they're more team fight heroes like Earthshaker and Enigma. That's fine. That's totally fine. If you want to just play one hero within one niche, go for it. Just make sure that you're good enough at that hero that you can justify picking it. In like if you really know how to play a Clockwork and position and trees and stuff, he's just as good against Nature's Prophet. It's just harder to play.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think that's what really makes Dota so interesting is that there is a reasonable amount of overlap between some of the heroes, or between most heroes, with at least one other hero or multiple other heroes in terms of what they do in the game. But they all have like a different flavor. Like in this example, you're describing it super well, which is that the Spirit Breaker does counter the Nature's Prophet, and the Clockwork counters the Nature's Prophet, but Clockwork can only, he can provide vision to find stuff in trees and he can depush with Rocket better. But Spirit Breaker is going to actually like close the gap on the Nature's Prophet more regularly, and he's going to do better in a game where you need more reliable BKB piercing disable, whereas Clockwork is better when you have supports that you can reliably get on top of and kill because he has more damage. And so they do the same thing for the most part, but they also provide this extra little bit of flavor that can change in terms of how important it is based on the meta and based on the heroes that you're against. So I completely agree that I think that it's really good when you're creating a hero pool to come up with heroes that do specific jobs, like the disruptive split push counter, like the team fight, like the assassin, something like that. Those might be 3 different classifications. And then if you have 1 or 2 heroes in each one of those classifications, then you have a pretty good toolbox to pull from. But you don't have to have every single one. You don't have to have like 6 heroes that are good against split pushers. You just need
Yeah.
1 or 2. And
Agreed.
you see that even in the pros, right? Like Crit prefers to pick a hero like Dark Willow when he needs team fight instead of a hero like Earthshaker a lot of the time.
He plays Tusk instead of Clockwork,
Right.
instead of Spirit Breaker. He's a Tusk player.
Yep.
So same shit. Okay, Fuzzy also follow-up question says, also, how much dollars or MMR do I have to play Jenkins to get him to send me his hero layouts file? I'll do it. Don't worry. I just need to Google it. I'm just lazy. Average Peen says, "Hey, Donald and Drew, can I call you that?" Yes. Well, I don't know. I guess Donnie. I can't answer for Donnie, but
Sure, dude.
I'll say yes for Donnie. What are 2 strong laners versus a tri-lane? And if you don't want to tri-lane yourself, what is a good support as well to go against them in the off lane? I know it will change depending on their 3 heroes, but say like Abaddon, Veno, and something else. But can you give a few examples? Okay. So heroes that
is
are
this an
really
aggressive tri-lane against your safe lane? Is that what he's asking?
Is a good question.
Or is he asking if you're in the off lane against a defensive tri-lane?
What is a good support as well as off lane to go against them? Okay, so this is off in the off lane.
Okay, so defensive
Against
tri-lane.
Safe lane, tri lane. Yeah. Okay, so my first thought when it comes, I love these offlane questions because, geez, I could talk about offlane all day. But my first thought when it comes to dealing with these tri lanes is like, if there's any way for you to just manipulate the creeps, then you get level 2, level 3 first. They can't lane against you. They can't tri lane against you anyway. So that makes like Clockwork, Earthshaker. These were the offlaners that people would pick way back in the day when it was 1v3 because you would just manipulate the creeps to put them right in front of your tower. And
by
then
blocking with cogs or
by
fissure.
blocking, yeah. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna dive the Clockwork. Alternatively, heroes that are good at cutting the creep wave and dragging the creep wave are good. So something like Axe plus some sort of support that's really good at playing with the Axe, which is basically any position 4. You just put like an Axe and an Earth Spirit at the tier 3, and then sure, both of their supports come over, but they're stuck at level 1 and you're not. And that's a way to deal with it. The most important thing against a tri-lane is identifying that you are up against. I don't think defensive tri-laning is viable. I'm just gonna straight up say it. I think it's not viable. I think if you're a good offlaner, you'll identify that there's a defensive tri-lane coming by like scouting with vision, and then or you just see at the start of the lane and you die because they surprise you. You just go cut the next wave, and then all of a sudden they can't tri-lane you anymore because the creep equilibrium is right in front of your tower.
Mm-hmm.
So all you need to focus on is getting into like the cutting and dragging position, which is like behind the tier 2 or behind the tier 3. And if they come and kill you while you're cutting, just drag the second wave to the third wave, and then all of a sudden there's a double wave under your tower and you're good. So like I don't think defensive tri-laning is very viable these days. And anytime you see it in a pro match, they defensive tri-lane for like 2 minutes and then they're gone.
Yeah.
Unless the enemy team has an aggro tri-lane.
Yep.
But nobody will stay in a defensive tri-lane. The 4 will start roaming. The 4 will go to the off lane. They'll just get like a morphling level 3 or something like that, and then they'll leave. So just cut. That's it. Heroes don't really matter. But if you had to pick heroes, I would pick heroes that are either good at manipulating the creeps or good at cutting, which I suppose is just creep manipulation. So any heroes that can do that.
Right. I think it's kind of important that you mentioned nothing about fighting heroes, no undyings, nothing like this, because it's really just a riskier way of doing the same thing.
Like, you don't fight tri-lane.
Yeah, you just don't need to. So what's the point?
Yeah, it doesn't. Unnecessary risk that accomplishes the same thing, if not worse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Loival says how to fight mid-death prophet in mid-game. Was playing Tidehunter and she targets me with Cryptswarm, Exorcism, and the cable, and I'm dead. 4 staff pipe, just kiting her for the 35-second Exorcism Hex.
None of those
Yeah.
things.
Well,
Get a Vlad's for armor, get a medallion for armor, and armor reduction on her. Blow her up with Gush plus medallion and your teammates.
yeah, there's a few ways of dealing with it.
Get a spirit vessel.
Yeah, I was gonna say Vessel breaks that hero. Vessel makes that hero unplayable.
Pipe is not the item against DP at all.
Oh god, no. Doesn't do anything. She's all physical.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kiting her is fine too. Like you can pick like a centaur and just press R when she presses R.
Yep.
Like debating these like brew splits or exorcisms is fine. You know, in a game there might be situations where you do just say, "Oh, she popped ulti. Nobody's going to catch us. Let's just get out. Fight in 35 seconds." That's fine. But you also don't want to not be able to kill her just because she has exorcism up. So burst, armor to survive, and good God, get a spirit vessel. Spirit vessel is the hard counter to that hero because you can just blow her up even when she has the exorcism. It moves so slowly. The exorcism goes. They are so weak right now.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, yeah.
Yes, Tyler Mueller. With the new matchmaking system, you always gain 30 MMR for solo matches and 20 for party. That is correct.
You lose 20 for party too.
Yep.
Which is interesting. Okay, Fuzzy says support Snapfire. Is it me or just does Lil Shredder feel so fucking underwhelming? Scatterblast is solid, hits like a truck. You can do so many cool support plays with Cookie. Ultimate would be really sick, even with half the damage. Then you use her E and it feels meh. Yeah, it's pretty bad. They've nerfed it a lot. I would say Scatterblast is really solid, and so is Cookie. Cookie's broken. Cookie's insane.
Yeah, I feel like Lil Shredder is one of those abilities that there's really no incentive for anybody to fight you when you press it, and so you don't have any way to like guarantee the damage, so it's almost just wasting your mana most of the time. Like only bad players will play into your Lil Shredder consistently, so you kind of, I think that it's one of the best tower pushing skills in the game, and I think that's kind of its main purpose.
It's good at killing Phoenix eggs.
Yeah, it's really good against Undying. It's really good against Phoenix. It's really good against Pugna. Anyone that has one of these like other objectives that you have to kill when they use them, it's super good against.
I do gotta say though, it is feeling like way more of a garbage ability than when it was first added into the game compared to the other ones, which is natural. That's gonna happen when a hero's broken. Like something's got to get nerfed. Really, to me, she is Cookie in an ultimate, and all of the other abilities are okay. I don't know. They're pretty normal. But the Snapfire, like Snapfire is mostly about her ultimate, and Cookie is cool for saving people and making like clutch plays and stuff. But that's how I feel about the hero.
Agreed.
Pegasus says draft analysis. Good options to pick as a position tree when your position 4 picks Ogre Magi. Well, you fucking click the back button, then you press abandon. Slardar is banned. The enemy team picked Mars, and you're laning against Lifestealer and Disruptor. So you have Ogre, and you're against Lifestealer and Disruptor. At least the Ogre can soak the Disruptor things for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me look. So
is he asking what carry to pick with that?
Offlane.
What offlane?
Yeah. Oh. Sorry, dude. All offlane questions today.
No, that's fine. I mean, pick an offlaner with a Purge, maybe. Abaddon, Legion Commander.
Yeah, those would all be good. I would say like even I'm looking at like Timbersaw. I don't see what Disruptor Lifestealer does to Timbersaw at all, especially if the Ogre is soaking the Disruptor Qs. I think Timber would destroy a Lifestealer. Obviously Slardar, but you said that's banned. Abaddon is a Lifestealer counter, definitely, because you can just purge all of the Lifestealer spells, and he's single target, and Abaddon prevents any single target. Razor and Ursa, if they were better offlaners, like Ursa's kind of a bad hero, and Razor can be kind of a griefing offlaner, and they can maybe kill you. Razor would not be that bad, possibly, but I don't know. Timber is really what stands out to me, like Timber and Slardar, and then the Purgers.
What about any ranged hero? Because it's kind of nice to put If you have an ogre as your frontliner in the offlane, it's kind of nice to sometimes
I
pick
was
a.
thinking, yeah, like maybe some Viper and just kite the
Mhm.
lifestealer sort of thing. Puck would probably be really good actually.
Yeah,
Puck would be good. I would say Puck's actually broken there in that situation because Puck just needs a big meaty frontliner, and Puck is a really good laner against lifestealer because
yeah,
you just keep whacking them, and lifestealer never closes the gap on Puck. Like how the fuck are you going to do that? It's Puck.
right. You just
So
bloodlust your puck, and all of a sudden your life stealer is taking like
beat ass, yeah.
hundreds of damage every second.
Necrophos wouldn't be bad either, actually. Necro's pretty decent.
Yeah,
Um, Not entirely sure how that matchup works these days, but you got a lot of options. You basically just want to counter the lifestealer, and the reason for that is because the ogre kind of functions as a disruptor counter because you can just body the disruptor. Disruptor's like a trading squishy hero. Ogre's just like, come at me, bitch. You know, so you'd be wise to counter the lifestealer in that situation.
yeah.
Jastraga says, serious question. If my hard carry picked anti-mage, should I dodge the game? Can't remember the last time I won with that hero on my team. Yes. That's a fucking garbage hero. I'm also sick of having an anti-mage in my team, and then the enemy team Peruvian Smurf Meepo picker picks last pick Meepo, and then anti-mage farms 6 items, and Meepo kills him solo at any point in the game. Anti-mage is a pretty bad hero. There's a lot of really hard counters to anti-mage. I think that hero is he's in such a weird place because there are free games for him, and then there are games that are just insta losses. There's no in between for anti-mage. It's so fucking annoying.
Yeah, he really just doesn't feel like he fits into a fighting meta at all. And it doesn't really feel like in the current meta you can just exclusively split push. Like even the Nagas are able to fight when they get like diffusal blade and stuff, but anti-mage is just like when does he join the game? You know?
Against good heroes, not really ever.
Yeah.
He just split pushes until win or lose.
Yep.
Eddie Mercury said, "How was y'all's Valentine's Day?" I just played Dota.
I don't even remember what I was doing. What day was Valentine's Day?
I think the
14th, 13th,
was the
something like that.
14th. Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. I just worked.
I'm not big on. I'm not huge on holidays
Yeah,
for whatever reason. It's laziness. I don't know. I'm
but
too lazy to like celebrate holidays.
thank you for asking. Regardless.
Yeah, it's very nice of you to ask. I just, I hang out with my girlfriend every day, so I feel like Valentine's Day is just a really good way to like number one, make people who are single feel really bad about themselves, which is fucked up. And two, just a way to get people who aren't single to spend like a shitload of money on stuff that they don't need. That's so many holidays.
Yes.
Like
I mean,
I think
Valentine's Day was invented by Hallmark.
there you go.
So.
And then, the whole engagement ring thing is also, and that was invented by like what is that diamond company? Some company.
Like Zales or some shit.
Some company made that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's let me just say something about this, okay? This is like this is like pretty obvious stuff, so I'm not giving anybody any new information, but I can tell you from having a YouTube channel, the amount of money that you get in December versus I don't know, some other random month, October, is unfathomable.
Yeah.
The ad revenue that you make in December is like literally 3 times what it is in like October.
Yep.
And Ellie was working at a place seasonally for the winter break, and they hired and fired like 100 people because that's how much money they could make at just a random like department store is that they could hire and fire like 100 people in seasonal positions just because they needed that many people to sell all the shit that they were going to sell during the holidays.
Right.
I feel like God, this is so tangential, but I moved into this place probably 8 months ago, something like that, and I had literally nothing. No desks, no chairs, nothing like that, because I never had that before. I was at university, and then I lived at the Moonduck House and some other places. I never had any furniture, And within like 4 or 5 months from like thrift shops and picking up all of this garbage from like my family friends that like, these boomers that have like they want to get a whole new set of furniture, so they give you your furniture. I am overrun with shit. Like you couldn't sell any of it, but I have so many like desks and chairs and just random stuff. I feel like there's so much stuff. We just live in a time where everybody has so much stuff.
Yep.
Everybody's upgrading their phones like every 1 to 2 years. People are leasing a new car every like 2 to 3 years. People are mortgaging a house. Even my dad, who I would consider somebody who's very, very financially savvy, moved into a house that was his dream house. He was going to live there until he died and retired. And then within like 5 years, wanted to move somewhere else with my stepmom, and they were mortgaging 2 houses at the same time. And it's like, man, you're just pushed to do that shit by I don't know. It's just normal. It's just normal to like to buy,
Accumulate.
accumulate, and consume. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just that like I don't know. I don't feel bad about not doing it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you
Just
there,
because of
man.
how much shit there is.
I'm with you there. And yet stuff still continues to show up in my house. And it's just always something else being added to the collection until we have to move and throw a bunch of other stuff away.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're gonna throw stuff out. I'm at the point where like I could probably afford it. I've never had a car before, but I could definitely afford a car, but I want to also save money. So like not having a car, I don't feel like I need a car. I feel like it's been so long that I've just walked or like biked or whatever to get everywhere that I don't feel like I need a car, you know? So it's
That's
like
good.
it's like why would I guess I don't know what it's like to have a car, so I don't know how I would feel about not having one if I were to have one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure it would be a big improvement, but it's like I don't know that, and I'm fine with how everything is right now. So I'd rather save that money.
And to tie it back into Dota, we're all addicted to accumulating MMR and accumulating information, accumulating uh, items and new skins for our stuff. But at its core, Dota is not about accumulating anything other than resources and knowledge about the game. And if you just
Wow.
have knowledge about the game, you're going to be fine whether you're on your PC or your friend's account or you're at a LAN center with no items. It's not like they make you play better. It's not like your MMR, the number, is going to make you play any better or worse than what you have the knowledge and ability to
It's
be able to do.
all about you. Invest in yourself.
Yeah, do it.
That's all you need to do. Anyway, thanks for asking how my Valentine's Day was, Eddie Mercury. uh, he has a follow-up question. Oh God, how do you still know, or how do you know what makes a good replay for replay review? Is it better if I send something when I look clueless, or is it better when I send something in where I think I think I did all that I could and still list? I don't know what that means. I don't want
Still
to submit
lost.
something that. Oh, still lost. Okay, right. I don't want to submit something that looks like I'm just trying to put a feeding SF or use the soft lane silencer on blast. Fuck, man, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I mean, Donnie coached me like 2 days ago, and I was struggling to find a replay to watch. I almost think it doesn't matter. I almost think it could be any replay, and as long as you look at the right place, at
Yep.
the right thing. I suppose if I were to like put a formula on it, I would say if you could pick a replay where it's likely that the commonly reoccurring issues are happening, then that's the best one to look at. Now, I don't know exactly how to find that. I guess that would just be your instinct. If you think, okay, I fucked this game up in the way that I mess up a lot of games, those are the best ones because the reoccurring issues are the ones you want to fix. You want to knock off the ones that are losing you the most games as soon as possible, the biggest issues as soon as possible. So whatever way that you can do that, I would say just try to like get a gut instinct, go through your losses and think, okay, was this because somebody was feeding relentlessly, or could I have actually carried this if I played better?
Yeah,
And
I
do I lose games this way a lot?
yeah, I also think just the ones where you feel like you didn't have much impact are always pretty good candidates, because I feel like unless the game is like, unless you're just counterpicked by like 5 heroes and somebody on your team is intentionally throwing the game, you probably can have pretty good impact. You might just have to think about the game a little differently.
Yeah, I agree. Hockey says on the latest prediction podcast. Can I just say something? I don't understand the name. What is going on with them? Are they like sponsored by this pre-ediction thing or what? Like
Ooh, BSJ
what
and Breaky?
BSJ and Breaky? Yeah, what's the situation there?
Prediction, I believe, is like the org.
Okay, so
And
they're
so
so an
Wombo
org
Combo is the podcast, but they also
is
have
it
like a
is it
fighting game podcast that's also a prediction podcast, but has a
okay,
different
so
name.
it's not BSJ and Breaky's org. That
No.
org is just sponsoring them to make the podcast.
Yes.
Do you know if they get paid? Can you say?
They do get paid.
They do? Do you know how much they get paid? Can
I
you tell
don't.
me?
I don't. I
Can
have no idea.
why aren't we getting paid for this?
I don't know.
We make like 30 cents per alchemy answers. No, that's not true.
We should just
The
find a sponsor.
patrons really
Hey, we had somebody who wanted to sponsor specifically this, remember?
did we?
It just never came through. But yeah, it was gonna be
We have the patrons. Really the community sponsors this.
yeah.
I'm just being facetious. BSJ mentioned how people who don't know how to play from behind, if they
No,
lose the
I
lane, they will
mentioned
just
that and
oh you did
BSJ
okay.
commented on it.
They will slowly farm themselves to a loss, whereas good players won't do that. What are the
Yes.
best strategies from playing from behind in respect to different positions?
I think it's the same
Take it
for
away.
everybody. I think it's do
I think
not
so too.
fight them. Split up the other team, and when they split up,
Pickoffs.
pickoffs. Also, I think one thing that kind of goes overlooked to this is that it's really important to have a safe place to kind of like stage your aggression from. So one thing that I noticed, I made an entire video on this and I somehow lost it. I don't know what happened to the file, the recording, but I watched a game on PPD's stream where him and Mason, I think, were like 0-8 in the first 6 minutes of the laning stage, and they ended up winning the game. It was like a Avenge Drow game from last patch, and I noticed that PPD put a huge amount of focus on just like all of the wards, all of the sentries went to controlling their triangle. He didn't try and place any across the river. He didn't try and do anything in their own jungle. It was just their triangle. He made sure that all the entrances had wards, they all had sentries, and then they just held their high ground in the triangle. And then occasionally, one of these super far ahead heroes would try and like get into that area and take some farm or find a pickoff, and they would just kill them. And they did this for like about 10 minutes, farming just their triangle and maybe like the safe lane, the dire safe lane big camp. And then slowly after a couple of pickoffs, and they would have a little bit more space, and then they would kind of extend this area out. But trying to control the whole map when you're behind is impossible. So just pick an area that seems like you guys can hold with relative ease, and just narrow your focus to winning like an eighth of the map instead of trying to win the game right away.
I would also say like split pushing is a solid play as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just like run down a lane and kill the creeps. Um,
Yeah.
I think like as the supports, it's definitely your job to control an area, but there needs to be somebody on the map that's actually pressuring the enemy team to split up. Otherwise, they're just going to split up because they're bad. But you need to be forcing them to split up.
Yeah.
So usually you want to have some like two mobile heroes in both the side lanes pushing, the enemy team's mid. Everybody else is sitting in the triangle, and you can TP to the towers nearby with those two heroes and fight if the enemy team splits up. That's kind of the ideal situation. But the big mistake is just 5-man fighting the enemy team. You never really want to do that. If you know that they're just going to win a fight, you want to take a fight when it's on your terms. They walk up a high ground, you split push and they split up, then you take the fight. You think that they can't fight you at Roche because you've Snapfire and Void, Faceless Void or something like that. Like you want to decide, okay, here are the circumstances in which we'll fight, and just split push and take pickoffs until those constraints are met, essentially.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. Dat Burrito says thoughts on Jug mid. I've seen Thompson run it a few times now, and it worked well for him. Thompson's a weird one. He's a weird case. I tried it once and had pretty good success. The build is a Mask of Madness after some stars. Don't know what that means. Then a defensive
Stats,
item like
I assume.
Stats. Okay, sure. You're good at this. Defensive item like Manta. I guess more so my question would be, what does a hero need to be considered a good mid? Depends. I mean, some people are doing farming mids now. Like I'm seeing Morphling mid, and that's fine. Definitely. Jug mid sounds fine, but
doesn't sound good against most of the mid heroes. But
yeah, you could really get punished for that, and then you should end up taking space away from your carry. That's why people pick like tempo / early game, but also late game scaling mids, such as like Void Spirit, Ember Spirit, because they can like take enemy space. They're not going to take worst case on Terror. They can fight. They can take enemy space. Whereas with Jug, I kind of feel like you have to be careful, because if you get fucked up in the lane, then you just are going back to your jungle and stealing farm from your carry. And if your carry gets fucked up, then you're going to have 2 underfarmed carries on your team. So I think it's probably decent, and I think Thompson probably picks it. Number one, he's probably experimenting with it a bit, and he's probably also picking it in games where he's identified that like Jug will have a pretty free game.
yeah.
So yeah, it's depending on when you pick it, it's probably fine. I don't think it's like particularly bad, but I would definitely say most games like Ember and Void Spirit and those sorts of heroes are going to be better.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna pick Jug mid, it's not to be a rotator, right? Like that's not what the hero does. So you're not gonna play it like a Puck or a Void Spirit or an Ember. You're gonna play it like a farming mid, and you're just gonna like shove the wave out, maybe take their tower if they have a rotating mid, and other than that, you're just gonna play probably a standard Juggernaut game, because that's kind of what the hero does. He does one thing well, which is to not die while split pushing and farming aggressively.
Yeah. Agree. Related question, Jenkins, who do you use in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? I play Little Mac. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Hockey says, very specific question. You mentioned about Hood situationally being a good first item here. Can this be true on position 1 Spectre? Yes, I think Hood is fine on Spectre. First item. Like Soul Ring, Phase Boots, Hood is fine. If you're against some like Zeus Tinker sort of bullshit.
Sure.
Okay. Boda says, question, what's a good way to learn itemization intuitively beyond looking at pro builds? Watching videos and just thinking about it. I feel like whenever I watch a VOD review on Game Leap or your channel, you guys are always appalled at their builds. I know some builds. See, the problem with these like low rated games is people just do the build. They just follow the same build every time, and they're not following the reasoning behind doing like a pro build.
Yes.
That's the issue. Like,
yes. And not only that, but they always opt for the offensive items first.
well,
in every situation. So,
I had a game the other day where I was playing Void Spirit, and the enemy team had Puck and they had Lifestealer. And the way every fight was happening was that the enemy team was going on me. I was running in, causing chaos, and it was kind of working. But I felt like the whole game would be fine if I could do that, go in and make space. And if I didn't die, we were going to win. So instead of building like an Orchid or some item like that, where most people are going for that on Void Spirit, I went for a Heaven's Halberd, because the enemy team, they had Lifestealer, which I knew I could halberd him, and then also he was going to hit me in the evasion. He didn't have an MKB, and he wasn't going one anytime soon. So I knew that I would protect myself from the Lifestealer right clicks with that. But also, because of the status resistance, I would protect myself in the HP. I would protect myself from the Puck coil. I could just walk out of the coil and have it break, and I would be fine. and the status resist would protect me from that. And originally, I was thinking of going Sanj and Kaya because it's like, well, I'm Void Spirit, int hero, damage dealing hero. But guess what? I didn't need to do any damage in that game. That was absolutely not my. I mean, the hero's good at doing damage, but it was totally unnecessary. So instead of going for a stupid build like that, Sanj and Kaya, which I think would be borderline griefing, I went for a halberd. And for God's sakes, I felt immortal. And as soon as I bought it, the game felt insanely easy. And Ellie was watching, and she said something like, I was like doing cool shit. And I was basically like, this game is not won because my mechanics are good or anything like that. That doesn't matter. The reason that we're winning this game is because I decided to build a halberd. That's it. That's literally it. That was the piece to the puzzle that made it so that they couldn't fight us anymore. With how all the fights were going and how they were trying to fight. If I could just run in, and Nakes and Puck were the ones that were able to kill me. The other heroes couldn't do shit to me. And the halberd, it dealt with both of those, even though it's not a normal Void Spirit item. And like I said, I could have gone for some like Orchid or Crystallis or something like that, because that's what Thompson does. That's what people do. But and that's the thing, is that like I'm not Thompson, I'm not Ana or something like that. So these decisions, these really game-winning decisions, I don't make them every game. I wish I did, but I don't. But in that particular game, it felt so fucking good. It felt unlosable because that item made me borderline immortal to the way that they were killing me. And I don't remember what the original question was. Okay, itemization. Those are the item choices that you want to look for. That's why Hood on Spectre might be good. If it's like, okay, the only way that they shut the Spectre down is by killing the Spectre with magic damage. They don't hit towers very well. So if we just get something to protect the Spectre from magic damage, we are going to go late. We go late game with a Spectre. They have a Tinker. Our Spectre counters a Tinker. We win the game. So that's why you would go Hood on Spectre. And that's why you wouldn't go for some Diffusal, Radiance, or whatever build, because in this situation, you want to look for the item builds where it fucks up the way the enemy team wants to win the game, or it makes it like basically impossible for them to win the game.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. I thought I made a video about itemization fairly recently. I don't know where it is. Maybe it was a proprietary piece of content for somebody else, but it was essentially like itemization theory and why you're dying so much and losing games because you're just dead a lot. And I kind of came up with like an acronym, which is basically you start off by buying stats because that's always good. And then you buy the item that allows you to be unkillable if you need it. And then you can buy damage. Because I think everybody gets it backwards. They think that like if you just buy a bunch of damage, then you're going to have impact. But in fact, if you can get off several rounds of spells every fight, that's the impact. And so all you need to do is survive most of the time, and you're going to have much more impact than if you just have like a one-shot build but also die instantly if you get caught. It's kind of like going back to the ease of execution thing that you were talking about much earlier. And we people talk about this in pro games all the time where they're analyzing the draft, and it's like, oh, this team won just because their draft was way easier to play. Like, just make the game easy for yourself, and you will gain a lot of MMR. And the easiest way to make the game easy for yourself is to make it so it's hard to die, because dying is really fucking easy in Dota. But it doesn't have to be. You can just make it so you're hard to kill, and then you have so many more options, right?
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Depends on what your job is in the game. You just got to think about your job, not just do the same shit every game. Hawkillionaire says, name your list of the most impactful laning rotating supports to go gank for kills.
Earth Spirit?
Position 5s, I think he's thinking about.
Okay.
Nature's Prophet. That's kind of the only position 5 that I can think of. Most position 5s just sit in the lane, dude.
Yeah.
Sad to hate to break it to you. If you're playing position 4, then it's almost every position 4, like Clockwork, Earth Spirit. Yeah, Earth Spirit's fantastic.
Yeah, I think that as a 5, your job is to secure the lane, and then you want your first rotation to be to claim a tower most of the time. So heroes that can help you take towers, I think, are really good. So like the Vengeful Spirit is reasonably good at that because you have the aura to amp up your team. A hero like Undying is pretty good at that because you can come up and just like drop the tombstone in their trees, and your team just takes a free tower. A hero like Chen, Abaddon, Enchantress, these heroes that have like creeps that can tank for the tower or heal their team, sustain their team, that kind of stuff. But if you're looking for kills as a 5, you're probably playing the wrong role.
I know he does play some position 4, so
Yeah.
if you position 4, I would highly recommend Earth Spirit right now.
Mm-hmm.
Destraga says, what's the movement as a support when you have a hero cutting the lane, LC or Axe, for example, heroes I can't catch? Try to kill them at level 1. Once they have levels and you're still level 1, you can't do anything unless you have somebody else rotate. So go do something else. Go stack, go fuck with the off lane, go help mid, do something else. If they're cutting the wave, then your carry's free farming as well. The worst thing that you can do is sit in that lane and just be level 1 doing nothing or soak from your carry. Because if they're cutting, they're getting every single creep, but so is your carry. So it's an even trade. That's the thing. But then you can go do something else. That's basically it. Level 1, fuck with them. After level 1, either you kill them with multiple heroes or you go somewhere else.
Yep. Drop a ward so your carry can see what's going on if you do leave the lane.
Yeah. Moise, I think you asked this question last week. Is taking a break, coming back to, fresh, a good way to play Dota, or practicing skills and playing 2 games a day and keeping up with the meta the way to go? How does Ana do it? Yeah, you asked this question the other week.
And we answered it too.
It's the exact question. What the hell, Moise? Yeah, both are good. Both are good. I think just make whatever it takes to keep your mind in a productive state, as well as not losing your Dota knowledge. So you can take breaks and grind, or you can practice 2 games a day and keep up with the meta. I think that's all. That's all fine. Just as whatever. It's very individual. I've looked up a lot on this sort of subject recently.
I guess I would say that if you have the self-control to only keep it to 2 games, I assume the context for this question is you feel like you need a break, but you're also feeling like if you do take a break, you're going to fall super far behind on the meta. And so in that context, it comes down to self-control, because it sounds like you're in a negative downward spiral. And if you can keep it to 2 games a day where you're not going to lose too much MMR and get even more depressed and start binge queuing, then sure, that seems fine. But if you feel like you don't have the self-control to not binge queue every time that you play 2 games and it becomes, bad 2 games, then just take a full-on break.
Yep, agreed.
How can I
Jenny
stop
Death.
playing Dota? Uninstall that shit, bro.
I read that question. I ignored it. Been a while since I played solo queue, says Jenny Death. Was originally 4.5k MMR for the past year. I've been pretty much exclusively playing in 5 stacks with friends who are casual players. My play has become to be incredibly lazy. And now that I'm queuing up again, I've dropped almost 1k MMR. Any tips on being able to play with lower MMR friends without creating bad habits?
Oof.
Yeah, I actually do have some tips for you because I've done this quite a bit. I have to play with Donnie sometimes. I'm just kidding.
We
But
never
I
play
do.
together. Stop
We
lying.
actually we never. I mean, we both just solo queue all day and every day. So
Yeah.
but when I do occasionally play with friends, I will pick roles that I'm not comfortable with, because it's really hard to build bad habits if you're just not good at the role in the first place. I will play heroes that are like really weird heroes, like Lifestealer offlane or some shit like that, because it's it's going to be a weird game regardless, because it's not the uh, bracket that you're used to.
Yep.
So you can just basically pick weird shit and just have fun with them, and don't make sure that you're playing games in your bracket as well. Like take 50-50 or whatever. Like really focus for. I might even recommend this is going to sound so horrible, but if you don't listen to music while you're playing solo queue in your 4.5k games, then listen to music when you're playing with your friends. If change the environment, change the atmosphere so that it's more casual, and that you're not that you're
Yeah, that's
put
actually
yourself into autopilot essentially.
that's a really
kind
good.
of.
Yeah, I actually like that advice a lot, because if you work from home like you and I do, it's very easy to kind of just fall into this trap of like every second that you're not engaged with your girlfriend or whatever, you can just kind of slip back into like, oh, I'm working now. You just go sit at your computer and like do work or whatever. But a lot of it's like not very productive work, but it's just accessible to you. And so I've been finding that it's really important to have like a strict cutoff where it's like, I am now no longer working and then I'm doing other stuff. And I think the same is true for Dota. It's like, I am having fun, and maybe the best way to do that is to just like fully meme, because otherwise it could be just like this insidious kind of creep of like lazy, terrible habits, because you're still like kind of try harding, but your teammates are not as good, and
Yeah.
you're not really taking it that seriously, but you're kind of like lying to yourself that you're still trying to carry the game, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's my advice. Play drunk or stoned with friends.
There you go.
That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, that's it. We're done. This has been a long one.
It has been.
Yeah. Good
Um,
luck in your games, everyone.
yeah, is this VOD getting uploaded? It's just saved on the channel, free to watch. So, yes, Fox Senpai, you can watch it after it's over. Audio will be uploaded soon as well if you don't have the bandwidth to watch a video or you want to do it on the go. Thank you to our patrons for tuning in, and thank you to everyone for your continued support of Dota Alchemy. We love you guys, and we'll see you soon.